what's up? How you doing? It's us. We, Christian, Lyneesha, the Johnsons. We got a whole lot of topics. Reverend, Coach, they shouldn't call us mommy and daddy, so that's only reserved for our children. However, we are here. We thank you for joining us for the Thriving in Love podcast. And so I want to get straight to it, beautiful. Today we're talking about keeping it hot.
Ooh.
And we don't have the air on right now, so we're not talking about that type of hot, but we'll get straight into it. So you, baby, did a amazing, I know I shouldn't be necessarily listening in. However, when I do sneak on, I am working, okay? So I want to let you know I'm not just eavesdropping on the ladies. I'm making sure that the sound is correct. I'm on the technical side. I'm making sure that everything is good. However, this week's segment of Wife Life, you asked the question, and we've asked this question on IG, on the Thriving in Love community, and it's so powerful that I think that it's worth us having this conversation again. Is at least like laying that foundation. Yeah. And so the question that you asked, I think I heard it correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm okay with being corrected. But you asked the question, why is it such a struggle to be totally, okay, y'all? That's the key word, all right? Totally honest, open, and transparent with your spouse.
Yeah.
Was that it? Do I got it right?
Yep.
Okay. So I want to read off some of the responses that we got. This ain't what I came up with or you. This is like real live conversation. It was so good. But these are all women. Brothers, no offense. It's just wife life. So this is what I'm giving you, a cheat sheet so you can be listening in. Because I happen to know as of right now, a lot of our, I don't know if you realize this, we have more male listeners with the podcast.
Interesting.
Yes.
It's not surprising, though.
And we have more female listeners. Yeah. Well, obviously, wife life is wife life. But, you know, when we go live and different things like that.
Women like to interact a little more.
But it's so I'm trying to give my brothers, try and give them a look. So this is what the ladies are saying. All right? So the ladies are saying the reason why it's such a struggle to be totally honest, open, and transparent in there with us is because of fear of rejection. Judgment came up. Fear of judgment came up.
Yeah. Confrontation.
Not knowing how to communicate. A fear of not getting the response that I want.
Yeah.
Like reading it.
Yeah.
I was like, whew, like this is good content. This is good. This is things that we may not be aware of. And this is not just, I'm not just saying that just ladies feel that way.
Right.
A husband can feel that way as well.
Yeah.
I can agree with those things as well. But I think, some of the things I want to highlight as it relates to those things before I turn it over to you, because you did such a great job giving these tips. I just want to go there.
Okay. And
just give us what we need. But one thing I wanted to highlight, and I'll speak to you ladies, for you listening to this, and if brothers, if she ain't, turn the table. She usually bringing some stuff to you. She usually like, hey, listen to this. Look, you be like, listen to this podcast right here. Okay? Because what I want to say to the ladies as well as us, the husbands, is like, we can't be afraid to show vulnerability.
Right.
Like we can't. Like, we don't want them to feel that they can't come to us, but you don't want us to feel like we can't come to you.
Right.
So if you would like to comment on that before I go any further, I know you're flowing because you literally, just got finished going in. So she still got the oil on her. If you're watching, you can see the Shekinah is not just in her glasses, So anyway, so go ahead while I take a sip of my tea.
That's so true, because I think we always look at it from one side, right? One perspective. If we're not communicating, then I'm making assumptions, right? And so I think it's important for us to identify that there's vulnerability on both sides. That although as a wife, my husband may carry himself in a way that he got it together.
Yeah.
That he's hard, he has hard on the outside, and he's not easily offended or tough, whatever the case may be, right? That doesn't mean he doesn't have vulnerabilities. And so we have to realize that as a wife, I'm not the only vulnerable person in this relationship. And that allows us to be more open and honest with each other by realizing we're both in the same seat.
Yeah.
We both have those same types of feelings and concerns.
Mm-hmm. So when I hear you, I'm thinking about too that husband or that wife they're like I want to show vulnerability, but like there's a trust factor that's on both sides, okay? And so it's two things I won't even share together. I want to say first off, like we got to make it safe, like that atmosphere. We have to make it safe, and that's tying to that area of vulnerability and even deepening your trust in your marriage, because like making it safe as a husband, if my desire is to share with you, we can go back to the story. I know you've used it recently as the first time that we came together. I'm not talking about sexually or intimately. I'm talking about far as us dating.
It was intimate, but it wasn't.
Yeah. But I threw the game off because I'm like, yo, I need you to tell me something about yourself that nobody else knows. In case you haven't tied it together, keeping it hot is dealing with honest, open, and transparent conversations or communication. Okay, that's hot. All right. So we straight into the hot. Now that was uncomfortable for you, but
this was our first conversation.
Yeah, it was a very hot conversation. It was, but I wanted to prove. I didn't want to play games. I got out of a bad relationship. You've been out of similar situations or whatever, and so I wasn't playing games as far as these things. So I wanted to get at that point in place and realize like I need us to go in. Like we don't want to play with this. And your testimony is like you felt safe pertaining to the area. But listen, going to a different area with this, just that question, you're like, all right, well, Christian, all right, you asked her to share something, that's okay. But like, did you go deep? Like, yeah, like we've gone deep. Like I've experienced like, yo, Lyneesha, like I just want to let you know the situation, whatever the case may be. I've told her about my pornography addiction that I had. I told her about a whole lot of situations that I've had there. And you've been transparent as well. We don't have the same struggles, but we have different ones, and we had to be honest, open, and transparent about those various things that we shared. So it was crucial that we made it a safe place. If I would have shared those things and you would have came at my neck, then I would have shut down.
Right.
And if I would have shut down, then I would have go ahead and deemed that. And as a matter of fact, if you're watching or listening and you're like, look, I can't get my spouse to do this, they don't ever do this thing, I'm going to ask you, what type of atmosphere are you setting? Is it safe? Can they be 100% them? Or are you attacking them when they share? Or are you always trying to fix it? That's another thing too. I don't need you always to fix it. You don't need for me to always fix it. I love how you always say, if I share something that's honest, open, and transparent, well, what do you need from me?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? It's different things like that that can be super helpful for us of developing that trust.
Yeah, and I think too, just to speak to that point, I think as leaders, right, some of us are who are listening, are pastors, they're business leaders, right? They run a company, or they're high in management, right? Or they're just in a position of leadership, even with maybe within the church or in an organization. And so most times when people come to them, it's because they want them to fix a problem. But we have to realize when we're home, when we're working with our spouse, who is our partner, they're not a subordinate, they're not a member in the church, they're not a client or a customer, right? We're partners.
Yeah.
Like, I need you. Sometimes we've had them conversations. Like, I'm like, babe, I know the scripture. I know you're a preacher, but right now I need my husband. I don't need the pastor. I don't need the preacher, teacher person. I need my husband. That person that's going to listen. That person that's going to understand. That person that's going to support. Like, we have to realize and that question, what can I do for you, or what do you need from me, helps you to know what hat to put on.
Yeah.
Like, don't make the decision for them. Ask them, how can I help?
Yeah. I love that. And I'm thinking about you guys who are watching, and you're like, look, or listening, and you're saying, there's some trust factors, there's some trust issues that we kind of get through. This stuff sounds good, but it's just some trust things. Like, we realize even in our coaching that trust issues a lot of times are on both sides, but one of it seems to be more public. Well, you guys know, if you've been following us, we dealt with infidelity now you let me know it's been over a year.
Yeah.
As far as cases, and the Lord, changed that direction, and our focus now with his married leaders. But even within that situation, a lot of times we had clients that the one who what we are calling is the infidel. That's public.
Yeah.
I cheated, so it's that area. But for the betrayed spouse, you know, there's a different. No, I said it wrong. I'm sorry. So the infidel is the one who had the public sin or the public situation. Okay, so you understand why the betrayed spouse has trust issues.
Right.
All right, guys, follow me within that. I apologize. Yeah. And so on the opposite end, you would kind of see, all right, well, he's the one that cheated, so he just needs to be this, he needs to be that. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times, him going out and doing what he did, it had to deal with a lack of trust.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving any excuse. We do not agree with it, but we still got to look at that area. A lot of times somebody has that public presence of sin. Oh, well, they always speaking nasty and they're doing this and they're doing that. But then you find out on the opposite end, you know, you got more of a private situation in a thing. Yeah. Both of them are breeding distrust, and that's why we can't have hot conversations.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I want to be intimate and you are turned off, disgusted, or whatever the case may be, which causes for me to pull back. I don't want to share my things. But if I leave the house and I go to the church or I go in the office, mm-hmm. I have people who are willing to hear me, willing to listen, willing to give me connection and whatever the case. And they may or may not be on my payroll. You got what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's a different, unique place. We got to make sure that this place is safe. All right. So, baby, people are listening and are watching. And we're at this point in place where saying, stuff sounds good. I agree. I want to get there. And, you know, we know that through one segment that you're not going to master this, okay? Right. That's why coaching is crucially important, okay? Yeah. We can't give you everything and walk you through the journey through this 15-minute to half an hour podcast. But I want to ask you to give 3 tips. So at least the listeners and viewers can say, all right, I can take these tips and start having hot communication or start learning how to keep it hot.
Yeah.
So as you feel it, you know, share, you can share 2, I can share 1. Let's go with that, all right?
Yeah, so 3 quick tips to start having hot communication or hot conversations with your spouse. Mm-hmm. Number 1 is plant the seed of hot communication, right? Given it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaking together, running over, all that good stuff,
you
right?
Preaching. Oh, come on. You can't just drop it
Luke
like that.
6:38.
We're supposed to get an offering now, right?
Well, that's usually when we hear that scripture. Right. We are not taking up an offering. We are not asking you for your money. Because oftentimes that scripture is used when we're talking about giving money or giving things or whatever. But in this case, we're talking about giving what we want, right? Like, I want us to be open with one another. I want you to feel like you can come talk to me. And so what needs to happen is I need to plant the seed. When we had that conversation, I planted a seed. Like, you wanted to know, would I open up to you? And at the same time, I needed to know that if I did open up, that you would handle it well. And so we need to learn that, planting that seed, being willing to be the first one, being willing to to plow the ground, right? To start making a pathway to honest, open, transparent conversations. And so I need to be willing to get vulnerable first. I need to be willing to share something with you. Pray before you do it. Do what you got to do to get your confidence up, right? To get over your fear, your anxiety, whatever it may be. But take that thing to your spouse. Set them up for success, though. Don't just drop it on them like a bomb. Like, give them the time to prepare their mind and heart as well. Let them know, hey, can we talk about this a little bit later? But I want to talk to you about something like that. But the point is to plant the seed.
Yeah, that's good.
So that as you give, thank you, babe. Mm-hmm. As you give vulnerability, as you give honest, open, transparent conversations, communication with your spouse, then they in turn will do the same.
That's good. I guess I would say don't be judgmental would be the second thing. Second thing that we want to share. James chapter 1:19 says, be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. And it then goes a little deeper than that, okay? And when you go to that area, like, you have to choose to be open. We talking about setting the atmosphere before. We're talking about setting them up properly. When you want to have a conversation, you go through some coaching with us, you'll see some things that we use, but we talk about the ICM. I won't get into details of it, but the bottom line is you have to set that atmosphere, knowing it's the right timing, the right temperature, the right approach for you to be able to move forward. Once you identify those things, you want to be at that point in place to be like, all right, whatever it is that Lyneesha wants to share, whatever Christian wants to share, I need to choose to be open. Look, it may be about me, and it may cause for me to want to be upset or offensive, but at the time of them speaking out and sharing and getting naked, as it mentions in Genesis 2, I think, then that's not the time for me to be judgmental.
Right.
That's not the time for me. That's for me to choose to be open to receive what it is that you have to say and listen and get understanding. And all thy getting, get some understanding so that you can know how to pray, right? Sometimes I love how you have the ability, beautiful, to unplug and not to be counselor and not to be coach, but just be friend and unplug from the emotional connection for what we're sharing and realize that, okay, this is hurting a part of our body, a part of the team. How do we move forward? But if you jumped into judgment, then that means that your advice, your wisdom, your desire, whatever you have to give, it would come skewed. It would be at a different place of a different perspective. But when you go into the friend area to see that my friend is hurting and my friend is dealing with this, then I'm going to choose to be open and we're going to walk through this thing together. We can deal with a little bit later on the specifics and take turns and identify when it's your turn to realize, say, look, this hurt me. But maybe not when I'm getting naked at that time and I'm exposed and I have some insecurities and some lack of things or whatever the case may be. Again, it goes back to that area, I can't get off of that, of making that place safe. So you being non-judgmental, I mean, you got to be at that point in place to say, all right, cool. I tell our clients, I said, it's not too much you can share with me that's going to rattle me.
Right.
I mean, we've been in this thing for years, and it's just like, it's not going to rattle me. It might hurt. And there's been times we've been connected with family and friends, and we're the marriage people. So they come to us, cases or not clients, excuse me, and they share some things, and it hurts. But they don't need for me at that point in time to be like, you know what, I'm so disappointed in you.
Right.
I can't believe that you would do something like that. Okay, you're hurting. You open this thing up. It's like somebody who had surgery and they're going through and they show you their scar and you like, ew, like that is just so disgusting. Like, you dummy, how'd you fall? You had no helmet on? Like, it's not that time, guys. So you get that thing. Let's not be judgmental. And if you're at that place and it's hard for you to carry that thing, then maybe you need to think about that and pray about that. You take it back to God and then represent it. I'm not saying be fake. We're talking about being honest, open, and transparent. But at that time, you got to be able to take your personal feelings, put them in a pocket somewhere, process, be what you need to be, and then you guys can always come back to continue the honest, open, and the transparency. You can even check, babe, I want to revisit that. How are you doing? Because I have some feelings of feeling. I didn't want to release it at that time, but are you okay? See that's honest, open, transparent, okay? So check that out, think that thing through. And then number 3, baby?
Number 3 is to extend grace and space. Our friends, Charles and Regina, mentioned this to us a while ago, and we were like, yeah, that's stolen, right? We're taking that one because it's so true, right? We have to extend. We always look to God and we're like, God, I need your grace. God, I thank you that you give me grace every day. Like we're expecting another chance from God every single day, throughout the day. Like, we do the same thing, make the same mistake, tell the same lie, whatever, over and over again. And we need that grace from God to continue on our journey, to continue. He's not snatching our purpose from us because we made a mistake. He's not throwing it in our face or beating us over the head with it, or, the next time we trip over the same thing, he's not, well, there you go again. Like, no, it's that grace that's like, all right, let's go. Let's get up. Let's keep going. Let's keep moving forward. And that's the same thing we have to do. Listen, not just for our spouse, but for ourselves too. We have to give ourselves grace to say, hey, I know I don't always do it right. I know I don't get it right, but I'm trying my best. And when I do mess up, I need to acknowledge that I messed up. I need to tell my spouse, hey, I didn't respond to that the right way. Please forgive me. Let's try that again. Like, I'm ready to have that conversation now. And allow yourself, don't give up on yourself, but also give your spouse that grace that they need. Like, when they do mess up, when they, like you said, when they come to you and they're confessing something or sharing something that's really vulnerable to them, they don't need to hear how wrong they are. Like, they're coming to you because they know it's wrong. And the fact that they've built up the courage to do so, they're putting it in your hands. Like, they're giving you their mess. Like, they're putting it and saying, can you help me carry this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so giving that grace is saying, I understand, like, we both have our issues. We both have our struggles. Let's get through this together. Let's get over this together. We can overcome this together, because it doesn't always have to be an issue.
Right.
As we extend grace, it's that grace and space to try again, because we're not giving up on this thing.
Absolutely.
We're not choosing to let this become who we are and what we do. We're moving forward from here. So extending that grace and space is critical to us having that intimacy and having hot conversations with each other.
Absolutely. Guys, if you're listening and you're like, I'm hearing what you're saying, it makes sense, and you're at that point in place where you're going to go ahead and put these steps into practice. That's the whole point of us sharing it. It's not just to have a good podcast. We're all about application. And you're saying, look, I desire to have a deeper a deeper marriage, deeper conversation, to be honest, open and transparent, developing what you're sharing, and you're interested, you want to move forward, you want to be in your purpose, you're tired of jumping over your house situations, your household situations, and you're just trying to go out and be successful outside the house. You're dealing with all types of stuff. Like, we know within COVID and everything we've been going on, it hasn't been easy for a lot of people. And like I told Lyneesha the other day, I don't want I want our presentation to be real. I don't want us to be at the place, how you in church, or you in business, and it's the appearance that everything is all, you know how it is. And me, if I go in church, I'm looking at if he preaching, where the wife at? I'm just looking, if she's preaching, where he at? I want to see that area. I want the presentation to be real. You can tangibly feel when it's real. If you're at that place where, look, we need to have these hot conversations, we need a system, we need to humble ourselves, we need to be at this place, we need to move forward. Like, baby, what can they do? I'm baiting you for it, but come on with it. Like, let them know. Like, what's the deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's important. The way we get to that is to be able to truly have understanding of who we are and who our spouse is and how they are naturally created. Because I think oftentimes we run into the place of not being able to be honest, open, and transparent, because I don't understand you. I don't understand the way you respond. And so therefore it turns into not trusting you. And vice versa, right? So we're helping couples to get to the point of understanding each other and appreciating who one another is naturally, and how those things can work together by assessing them, assessing their natural response, assessing their natural perspective in certain situations, so that then their spouse can get in black and white. This is what you need to do to talk to them. This is what you need to do so you don't offend. This is what you need to do or you don't do, so that they don't shut down and never come back and talk to you again. Like, we're breaking that down through an assessment, and then walking through with strategies on how couples can move forward, have these conversations, get on one page, get an understanding of how your strengths and my strengths can merge together and be something powerful and not be something that tears us apart. And so we have a few spots available to do this strategy session with. It's filling up, babe. Like, our calendar is getting full, and we want as many people to get it as possible, but at the same time, we have to be realistic and realize we can't take everyone at the same time.
Absolutely.
So there is a limit, and once we get to that point of this being full, then we have to shut it down for quite some time. So if you're like, listen, we need that. Like, we need to get on one accord. We can't move forward because we're just not seeing eye to eye. We can't talk about things without arguments. Like, we're just going through this over. It seems like we're in a cycle that's just been going on for years. And so you're like, listen, that's us.
Break the cycle.
How do we break this cycle? How do we get past this? Send us an email, guys. connect@thrivinginlove.com. We want to get you set up with this strategy session, because, listen, it's not even about us getting a paycheck at this point. It's about you guys truly thriving in the purpose that God has called you to without sacrificing your marriage. And so we want to help you get there by you making the investment, making the choice to say, hey, we're going to sit down, we're going to knock this out, and we're going to move forward. If that's you, shoot us an email at connect@thrivinginlove.com and just say, hey, I want to know more about this strategy session. Is there still room, right? Is there room in the end? Can we still get in? Send us an email. We would love to sit down and get these strategies for you guys to be able to truly walk in your purpose.
All right, guys, look, that's a wrap. And activate that thing. Let's get it going. We would love to connect with you guys. If you're watching, again, you see the Thriving in Love gear that we rock. If you're interested in that, well, you can use that same email address to go ahead and connect at thrivinginlove.com, and we'll let you know how you can get your merch, your Thriving in Love merch, all right? Also, those who are desiring to go ahead and want to support as well, there is Patreon, and you can just go ahead in the search area. We'll also have this listed in the captions on how you guys can go ahead and support the podcast, all right? As we leave you, always, we want to leave you with this. You remember, when a husband and wife team is totally committed to God, a proven system, and each other, there is a 100% chance for success.